Just one thing, just one
Please.
statement. We convinced that client by the end of the meeting that nobody cares more about them and their issues than us. That's essentially how we differentiate. And then everything else happens after that. But we, by the time that meeting's over, they are absolutely convinced, Bob, that there's nobody other than them and their family that's going to care more, work harder, be more strategic to help them do what they need to do.
And you can't fake that. I mean, people have an amazing intuition about disingenuousness and who is really authentic. And you just can't fake it.
We were asked a really tough question last week, Robert and I. This is the deal that he was talking about, the big liquidity event. At the end of the meeting, the guy says, so why should I hire you guys? What's different about you and why should I hire you? And I said exactly what Brian said. I looked at the guy in the eye and I said, we can't make many guarantees in our industry, but there's one guarantee I can make, and that is nobody will care more deeply about your estate, your assets, other than you, than us. And I think it went over pretty well.
You know, it's funny, those kinds of things always sound corny, and they're not what you expect necessarily to hear at conferences. But, you know, my experience is that no matter how much money a person has, they're still a person. You don't lose personhood at a certain level of net worth. Oh, I just made $100 million, now I'm a super person. No, not really the way it works. Robert, you want to leave us with an idea?
Yeah, so I know time's real short, so something real broad, then something very granular. So real broad is all of your clients have other advisors. Make sure that you create a diagram or some type of tree or some type of system so that you know who all the other advisors are around your clients, who their attorney, who their accountant, who their business manager, who their family lawyer is, and then ask the client for a soft introduction to those folks if you don't know them, because you can build out a massive network from just the relationships that you already have. That's number one. And then very granularly, just from a planning thing, if estate, I know everyone keeps asking, if the estate law gets repealed, there'll be a lot of planning opportunities with revising estate plans. You can do, maybe it goes away and then the step up comes back. If the step up comes back, meaning you don't get a step up that faces a debt, you can do substitution of assets inside a trust. So there's very technical things you can do, and I would advise everyone to at least find someone who's an expert in that area. And if that does happen, be the first one to contact your largest clients, share the idea, because no one else will do it. No one else will know about it. So be the first one to come up with the best ideas, and your clients will continually look at you a little bit differently.
Before we go to the Q&A, any closing comments any of you guys want to make before we ask the audience if they'd like to ask you anything specifically?
Real quick, I think this is important. So we meet regularly to look at our clients and create what's called the LTS list, the Life's Too Short list. We all have LTS clients. These are the pain in the ass clients that just don't appreciate what we do. They're just not, their values, our values, there's just a disconnect, they're not aligned, and they just cause you so much grief. So every time we bring in a large new relationship, we get rid of a bunch of LTS clients. So we formed a little partnership in the office with another team who's gladly taking these accounts, because they're a smaller team growing their business, and we do a 50-50 split with them for 3 years, and then they keep 100% after that. But you know, it is so liberating, as you all know, to get rid of the LTS list.
Brian, a closing comment before the Q&A?
No, you know, Jeff touched at the beginning about this unfortunate situation we have with one of our, you know, dear partners, and you know, he would love to see this today because he was such a force of nature in our business, and he not only made us better and smarter, but today if he were here, he'd be blown away because we were forced to go through a very kind of soul-searching process for a couple of years. And the silver lining of this, if that's even possible, is that we were forced to think through every aspect of our business, and by going through what Jeff described with the coach, we were forced to think about our values, and we were forced to have conversations with clients, and at the end of the day, it just made us better and smarter and more focused on what we were doing, and part of that, I think, is to make sure that we wouldn't let this guy down.
That's great. So, question over here.
Can I ask about the planning? You know, you're trying to uncover what's really important to them, where their hot issues are, where the things that they're really worried about. How do you translate that into something you can talk about going forward, and then into investments for what they need? If it's a return number or an income number or whatnot, how do you measure that so that you're not always looking at a benchmark, but looking at values?
So again, so we've developed our process, our planning process to, again, start first with the balance sheet, kind of where they are in their career arc, cash flows, and then work backwards and figure out if I'm X and I spend Y, and there's only a couple variables, return, inflation, taxes, what I'm starting with, and we just keep it really simple. I think a lot of the planning software that's out there is way too complex for people, and just keep it really simple and visual. We can work backwards and figure out that, okay, well, we don't know what the future is going to hold, but if we earn, let's call it 5% over this extended period of time, and you, on your part, add in, your contributions, and we earn what we're supposed to be doing, we're all held accountable, you're going to be okay. And so that, and then when we look at the allocations, I mean, they could be spending a couple $100,000 and they could have $20 million. That tells me right out of the gate that they don't need that. They don't need the return. They need it's more estate planning, or there's other issues there. But on the flip side, if someone's spending $1 million and they have $3 million, obviously they're going to run out of money in 5 years. So based on the planning, we create that lifestyle index, and it's a number, and that becomes our benchmark. So when we're sitting down with clients on quarterly reviews or annual reviews, we're talking about what changed in their life, and like, are we above plan? Are we on plan? Are we below plan? And we don't care. I mean, you get away from talking about the S&P, and no one really cares about that. They just want to know, are they going to hit their goals?
Question right here.
I want to go back to something Brian said earlier. We do a lot. Thank you guys. You're awesome and wonderful presentation. We do a lot of the things. We have a weekly meeting. We love everybody. We do a lot of fun things with a very diverse client base. But you said something about the colleges. So my area, which is right outside of Washington, so we have kids that are been congressional pages and been on philanthropic boards, and they're still in high school. College in our area is cutthroat. You said you helped them get into colleges that they wouldn't have gotten in otherwise. I want to know how you
I'll
do
give
that.
you my card and you can contact me, and I will give you the person's name, as long as you don't give it to anybody else.
Okay.
I'll tell you to all of you.
Reach out to me and we'll talk. Happy to share this game-changing person with you.
I've worked with this particular fellow. You're in for a treat.
Okay.
Other questions? Well, with that having said,
No more questions, darling.
no more questions.
Back there.
With that,
Yeah.
that's okay.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. We really appreciate it.
Well done.